Hi, this is Senator Barack Obama. I want to say thanks to Democracy for America for giving me a chance to respond to your petitions and your comments about the Iraq War, and in particular, George Bush's wrong-headed decision to escalate the war. As many of you know, I'm somebody who has been consistently opposed to these policies. I opposed the war in 2002, and after this brief message, you will be able to watch a timeline of my consistent position in opposition to the war. But I think in addition to looking backwards, we've got to look forward. And just this week, I was very pleased to see that the Senate passed legislation that would impose a timetable on the President for bringing our troops out of Iraq. I was particularly happy that not only was I one of the people who voted for it, but the overwhelming majority of Democrats voted for it, and it tracked to a large degree a bill that I had presented in January calling for a removal of combat troops from Iraq by March 31st of 2008. But of course, President Bush has said that he's going to veto this legislation. That's why it's so critical at this point that we don't let up. All of you have to participate, particularly putting pressure on some of those Republicans on the other side of the aisle who have said that they are troubled by the war but are unwilling to take the kinds of steps that are necessary to constrain the President's power. So make those phone calls, meet with your senators and your representatives where you can. We need to start building up numbers so that we can start moving towards a veto-proof majority in favor of starting to bring our troops home. Of course, even beyond that, I'm a firm believer that we're not going to see an end to the misadventures around the world, and particularly in the Middle East, until we have a new president. And that's why I hope that all of you are going to be active and engaged during this election process. If all of you are, then I'm absolutely confident that over time things will change. That's how change happens in America, from the bottom up, when millions of voices make a decision that they want a better America. So thank you again for your extraordinary efforts. Take a look at the video that we have after this response, and we want to continue to get your feedback, your involvement, and your participation. Bye-bye.
I don't oppose war in all circumstances, and when I look out over this crowd today, I know there is no shortage of patriots or patriotism. What I do oppose is a dumb war.
Us rushing headlong into a war unilaterally was a mistake and may still be a mistake. If it has happened, then at that point what the debate's really going to be about is what's our long-term commitment there? How much is it going to cost? What does it mean for us to rebuild Iraq? How do we stabilize and make sure that this country doesn't splinter into factions between the Shias and the Kurds and the Sunnis?
I've looked at the evidence. I'm a hawk when it comes to defeating terrorism. I was strongly supportive of Afghanistan. I would have picked up arms myself to prevent 9/11 again. I don't think the President has made the case on Iraq because I don't see weapons of mass destruction. You said this before. I said this in October of 2002, 6 months before the war was launched.
If you had been a member of the Senate, you would have voted against the resolution.
Yes. And I also, and this raises a broader issue of the Democratic Party. I think it's important for us to stand our ground and take our licks, rather than what sometimes is our habit, which is to cave and then whine about it afterwards, which makes us not only look weak but also petty.
It sure does.
Most of you know that I opposed this war from the start. I thought it was a tragic mistake. Today we grieve for the families who have lost loved ones, the hearts that have been broken, and the young lives that could have been. America, it is time to start bringing our troops home. It's time to admit that no amount of American lives can resolve the political disagreement that lies at the heart of someone else's civil war. That's why I have a plan that will bring our combat troops home by March of 2008. Let the Iraqis know. Letting the Iraqis know that we will not be there forever is our last best hope to pressure the Sunni and Shia to come to the table and find peace. And there's one other thing that it's not too late to get right about this war, and that is the homecoming of the men and women, our veterans, who have sacrificed the most. Let us honor their courage by providing the care they need and rebuilding the military they love. Let us be the generation that begins that work.